Welcome to Mortgage on My Mind, where we take the mystery out of mortgages and make dreams of home ownership a reality. I'm Natalie Salins, a top 1% mortgage broker with 20 years of experience, based right here in sunny Los Angeles. If you've ever wondered about pre-approvals, appraisals, or what loan product is right for you, don't worry, I've got Mortgage on My Mind, so you don't have to. Each week, I'll bring you expert advice, real-life stories, and insider tips to help you navigate California's competitive real estate market with confidence. Whether you're buying your first home, refinancing, or just curious about how it all works, this podcast is for you. So let's talk mortgages, demystify the process, and make your real estate goals a reality. Ready to get started? Let's dive in. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Mortgage on My Mind. I'm Natalie, and today we have the fantastic Kyle Gordon. He is the CEO and president of the Kyle Gordon Group, which is a California-based real estate firm known for its client-first approach and specialized focus on military families and first-time homebuyers. I'm so excited today. We are going to talk a lot about VA and our veterans and military families. So you have a lot in store for you. Kyle's originally from Southern California, which we know is a massive community of veterans and military families. He was in the U.S. Air Force and served for 9 years in Antelope Valley. Would love to chat with you about that as well. He brings the discipline, integrity, and dedication developed during his service into every real estate transaction. He's earned excellence in a multitude of accolades, including 2023 RE/MAX's Rookie of the Year, 2023 RE/MAX's All-Pro Rising Star, and recognition in 2024 as Top 100 Guevara Agent. And in just 1 year, he's doubled his gross commissions, which is really tough, especially in this market. People doing so much business in 23 and 24. So congrats. That's amazing, Kyle. We're so lucky and happy to have you on today. Thank you for joining.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure and it's been amazing helping everybody and serve everybody. I found real estate as a niche and I'm very excited about it and I love to help.
Yes, yes, awesome. So tell us, how did you get into it? And last year, the numbers were pretty daunting. I think it's something like in 2024, 75% of realtors did one transaction. One. So tell us, how did you do it? How did you get started? And how were you able to rev up your business in that type of way in an extremely difficult market?
So to answer your first question, how I got started into real estate while I was still active duty. And the main thing is I was just tired of being broke. I didn't really have a lot of money and we don't really make a lot of money. Everyone thinks that we do, but I really struggled with saving. I was living paycheck to paycheck. I was struggling a lot. And I went on YouTube looking for financial videos and backtrack. I was stationed in Ohio at the time and
Oh, wow.
was making no money. I was working all night. I served in law enforcement capacity and I just realized this is just not going to be what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And when I fast forward, I found some financial videos of some people that live in Southern California that were selling real estate. And when back in 2019, our market was pretty heavy. I wasn't selling then, but I would say it was a pretty stable market. Prices of homes were not so crazy yet, and interest rates were pretty reasonable. So it was very healthy for sellers and buyers. And I did my research.
Great market.
And
Yeah.
I did my research, and believe it or not, the Antelope Valley was one of the hottest markets, if not the hottest market in the whole country, because of the military turnover rate and the prices of homes in the Antelope Valley. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to Southern California. I'm going to sell real estate and I'm going to build a business. And I asked the Air Force to do what's called a BOP. It's a base of preference. And you have to have good behavior, good standing, and you apply for it and you put all the bases that you would like to go on a dream sheet. And then they basically, off the ones that you've picked, you get accepted to that assignment. In return, you have to re-enlist for another 4 years. So I knew going into this that I was going to be in California for 4 years, and this was going to be the time for me to get started. And then with that, it didn't really get I didn't really kickstart. I got
Mm.
pre-approved to buy a house. I didn't get pre-approved for the right entitlement. I wasn't really working with and I'm not trying to bash anybody, but
Not at
I
all,
didn't
but
know that
that's interesting.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that my income in Ohio is what I used to pre-approve myself in California. I didn't know that I was going to be making more money coming in California. And so I didn't get pre-approved for the right amount. And so I was very limited with what I could buy. And then I wanted to get started in the industry and start shadowing, but then I deployed a few times and I was stuck and I couldn't
Wow.
get done. So finally, we were here in 2023 and I studied my butt off in my final deployment and came back on leave and took the real estate exam test and I passed it and started selling real estate right away in my last year.
That
So,
is great. And how did
yeah.
you do that? How did you manage? Like, did you know a lot of people right away? Did you know veterans that needed financing? Like, how did you start that database
Once
coming from
I
nothing?
Once I had my mind set on getting into real estate, I started telling people like I'm getting into it. So in a way, I started like lead generating without really realizing I was lead generating. And once I had built the relationship with all these people, they knew I was getting in it. And I had an agent mentor at the time. So I'd refer her business and get started. And then the second I passed my exam and I was like, hello world, I'm your new real estate
Yeah.
agent, I was able to generate my first buyer in my first month of being licensed. And yeah, and it was literally underneath, like it was literally in my unit. Like I said, I was serving as a law enforcement capacity and literally the person I would arm up every day, he goes, hey man, my wife and I are thinking about buying a house and I hear you can do it. And it's just, we went from there and I never looked back.
Love it. So we'll start with you on what you think the biggest benefits available are for our veterans. And then I can add few thoughts for why me as a lender, that I say it all the time, think that the VA loan is absolutely the best mortgage product available at in the market. Like there
Mm.
is nothing like a VA loan. But you first on it, and then I can give some interesting thoughts on it as well. Yeah.
First thing is first, despite the no money down and no PMI, I think all those things, like it's the most protective friendly process for the consumer, for the buyer, because you have to have a VA appraisal and the VA appraiser, which I'm sure are the most strictest guidelines possible.
Take longer. It's
They take
great.
long, sometimes they do. It just depends where
It's
you're
through
at.
the VA portal, so I can't rush it.
Yeah, and that's true. But in my experience, I've seen appraisals come back relatively within 5 to 10 days. So it's, in my opinion, that especially if you do the right thing early on the agent side, where you order the appraisal immediately upon acceptance, then there's really no delays. You're still in contingency period. But
Sure.
anyway, like they're the most strictest for the buyer, which like the termite is required. If the property has a septic tank, the septic certification is required. And I can't tell you how many times that has been so important in our current transactions. And as a matter of fact, I just closed two last week that needed septic tank replacements. They failed. You
Oh,
know,
wow.
those are, if anyone knows what the cost is, those are $8,000 to $12,000 to replace a tank. Like, what if you bought a property as a person or any kind of consumer, your septic tank fails, now you have to come up with 12,000 after you just fronted the money, and then the loan can't clear until the septic tank is recertified, which needs to be replaced. So these are some really good things for VA buyers to understand. These call outs is what really protects you.
100%. Yeah.
Those are some of my things. Like I've been really fortunate. I actually work with an amazing friend of mine. She's a lender. Her name is Michelle Valencia out here, and we've been so good at writing contracts together that we've been getting refund checks back to our buyers. We've been getting our closing costs covered. We've been getting everything
Totally.
like we get them to put the deposit, two, three, 4,000, whatever they put in. We get their closing costs covered. We get the inspections clear. They get a check back from escrow after closing, and they can use that money to buy themselves some furniture or get themselves moving. So it's been a beautiful process for the veterans.
It is. It's so on our side as a lender, so movement mortgage, we don't charge our veterans lender fees. So that's one thing that we do that's really quite lovely. For a VA loan, you can do 100% financing to any amount. This is the craziest part. In Los Angeles, stuff is expensive. So and this just happened. It wasn't always this way with VA, but they implemented this a couple of years back. And when you would get stuck at an 807 loan amount, which is of course 2024 limits, or even in high balance areas, 1.2. It could
Right.
be tough for the buyer because even first time home buyers right now want to buy 1.3, 1.4. It's crazy, but it's
Right.
everything in LA. I did a VA loan once to 2 million, zero money down. No mortgage insurance, right? VA does not charge you mortgage insurance when you put zero money down, zero investment to the property, no mortgage insurance, and the lowest rates on the market. Nobody has
Mhm.
a rate lower than VA. My rates for VA right now are in the high fives. And then on top of it, if you want like a 6.1 or whatever, I can get you a big credit towards closing costs
Right.
if it's something that you want or need, right? So you can put zero money down, have zero money in the bank, get a closing cost credit from me, and put like literally make no contribution. It's
Mhm.
pretty amazing. So you get the lowest rate plus no MI, and there's
Yeah.
no loan limits. I had a client last month that we closed a duplex in Long Beach. Gorgeous duplex, 1.3 million. She put zero money down. My debt to income ratios were 63.
Wow.
So just so you all understand out there, most lenders don't take a ratio over 50, and 50 is really a max, especially
Mhm.
when you're in the high balance. You have to have other compensating factors to take a debt ratio to 50%. FHA will allow you to go to 57%, but that's only on the back end. On the
Mhm.
front end, they let you do only to 47. And don't worry about that, podcasters listening. Don't worry about that. But so depending on residual income, and it's a very weird calculation that VA does. The worksheet, the Excel spreadsheet is like so crazy weird with the numbers.
Yes.
It just has to qualify. It doesn't matter what the ratio is. So I have taken a file up to 66 and received an approval.
Mhm.
66 debt to income ratio and received an approval on VA. Nowhere else in the market you can do something like that. There is nothing available to take you up that high anywhere in the market. So it's just, I just think it's just absolutely the most incredible loan of all time. Like you just can't get better than what's available.
I agree. Yeah, and that's why I like to educate everyone that I work with closely is like because there's a lot of military members that don't know their benefit and what it really is, and they would rather rent a property because they don't know how long they're going to be here. And it's like you're going to put the deposit down, you're going to rent, you're going to give the landlord money, you're going to be here 2, 3 years, whatever your time frame is. But instead, you could buy a house with no money down, own the asset, and then when it comes to your time to go, hit me up. I'll help you with the services to rent the property out, refinance the property, get some money back, own an asset, and you can still use your VA loan again when you go to the next place.
Depending on your entitlement, right? So you do have to be careful with if you're keeping the VA. When you say refi, normally what we do is we will refi them into a conventional because they're leaving that property anyway. And so you can refi that into a conventional, and now they have full 100% entitlement to purchase the next property.
They
So
can, yeah.
it depends on what that there's two docs that
Scenario,
we
the
get to
scenario, yeah.
understand how we qualify. So it's a certificate of eligibility or the DD 214. So
Mhm.
those are the two docs that we take when qualifying a buyer for VA and understanding what that looks like. Do they have disability? If they do, it means they're not going to pay the funding fee because VA does have a funding fee. It's like an upfront
Right.
FHA fee. It's a premium that you pay. But many times VA waives that for buyers, even on second and third purchases, depending on what their certificate of eligibility allows for them to get.
Because they're disabled, their disabled status is what waives that.
Exactly. So anyway, so it's just this like incredible program that I really, like you said, I don't feel like enough people take advantage of.
Agreed. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's why we're here. We want to get more buyers and more military buyers and get them into assets that build them wealth. But I always say this, people are so afraid to invest money in stocks and things like that, and that's fine, I get it. But you need a place to live
Yeah.
regardless. So might as well treat your place to live as an investment to leverage. I'm not saying that buying your one house is always going to make you the ton of money, but buying that one house is going to give you leverage into more.
Exactly. We say that as well. Don't forget that what you're purchasing is an asset. Like dive into the asset of it. You get to live in it as well. But this thing that you're buying is going to continue earning you money.
Exactly. Yep.
You can't, people forget that's what it is as well.
Yeah, I
Um,
understand.
so what would you say are some like common myths on VA loans?
The first thing you already touched on with that loan limit. So I think I saw something like it was up to in my area up in the Antelope Valley. I saw something about it was up to 826,000, like a weird number. And then I saw something to 1,500,000 just a little bit down the street. But now that's gone. So that's a huge deal. So if you're one of those individuals that's watching the podcast and you're retiring soon and you're looking to move anywhere in the country and you want to buy your forever home, now and it's 2 million, 3 million, you can do that.
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
Yeah. If you want to spend it, you still have a mortgage, so it
Right.
still can be
Yeah,
pricey,
yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah,
And yeah.
absolutely.
The other one that a lot of people I've seen that are not so educated on is you can actually build a property using your VA loan.
Yes, renovation.
And that one is an interesting one, especially when it comes to renovation home loan. You can finance the property and then get the rehab wrapped around in that loan. And then that money stays in escrow. And I'm sure you can touch a little bit more on that. But buying a property for 100 grand, 200 grand, wherever your location is, getting the loan on that, let's say the rehab to get the property to VA standard maybe is 85,000. Your loan plus if you're disabled, if not, whatever those things are, maybe your loan is only 200 grand, but then now your home is now worth X amount because of the rehab and you brought it back to standard. So it's just that's a beautiful thing that I think really a lot of people need to get into.
Yeah, it's true. I say that like a lot of times you'll see on the MLS cash only, cash only. And I
Hmm.
always say cash only also means or renovation loan. I don't know why they don't put that. Like it's cash only because it's not financeable, because a lender doesn't want to buy something that has health or safety hazards.
Right.
Because it's too much for them to understand that you are going to do the renovation in the way that's needed, and then they would be left with a property. If you were to
Hmm.
back out of it, they would be left with a property that they would need to renovate or get to a certain standard to become habitable, right?
Exactly.
So if a property is
1,000%.
not habitable, it's such an incredible opportunity when it comes to these renovation loans, especially a VA, because again, you can put zero money down. So you can
Yep.
take the entire renovation as a loan, like dollar for dollar. And you
Hmm.
get to choose your own upgrades and your own cosmetic touches. They can be a little bit tougher through escrow, of course, because I need the bids and they have to be approved. And the appraisal is done as an after renovation value. The bids have to be approved before the appraiser can even get started.
Correct.
So that can take a little bit longer. But oh my goodness, there's nothing like buying a $200,000 fixer, putting 120,000 in. So for us, we do a loan for 320 and it coming back the after renovation value at 450. So you already have over 20% equity built
Yep.
into the property. And you get to do whatever you want to it. So you get to choose your own flooring and your own cabinets and your own tile. And like people are always so satisfied at the end of a renovation loan because they really get their own house and it becomes all financed. So it's a great,
Incredible.
definitely a great
Incredible.
product. Yeah, yeah. I forget that VA does it because we don't normally do
Yeah.
them with VA.
They're not like super common, but I want to educate a lot of people on it.
Yeah,
And because and I'm sure there's a lot of these properties for sale on the MLS that are under auction and foreclosure and bid. And that 30-day first look where investors can't get in it, that's the green light for the buyer because as long as the buyer is going to purchase the property to live in it, they get to beat all the investors out.
yeah,
And they can get as long as the terms are reasonably acceptable for the asset manager or whoever's the seller on that property, you as the buyer can do that. And then I don't know, they're usually what, 45 to 60-day escrows or something like that, because you have to wait for the second loan to come in and then, but a 60-day escrow and you get the house how you want.
for sure.
Great
If,
deal.
if the property's been sitting on the market, you have a real chance to go in and get a renovation approved or get accepted.
Okay.
I know that people want all cash, but that doesn't mean they're going to get it. Being able to have another mindset on opening it up to the entire market just as a renovation is something that sellers don't ever quite get.
And that's what they're trying to do. And that's why they do those 30-day first looks. They're really trying to open these types of assets out to your everyday consumer more. That's the whole point of all behind this. So I've been learning, I've been educating myself a little bit.
It's so great. I love it. I love it. Where what you've been able to accomplish for yourself thus far is pretty incredible. Like I said, just based on how the market is, but you have a beautiful niche on it. How do you think that realtors can educate veterans more effectively?
I would say, as a veteran myself, we are very close knit. So we are most likely willing to work with someone who is either a veteran, or if the person is not a veteran, they have to just be insane. You know what I mean?
I
So
know.
they just have to be so good. It's crazy. But like for someone like me, like I really want to educate every single veteran out there, even if it's not their time to buy right now, or maybe they're not, maybe they're seeing what I'm saying from a different state. I still want
Mhm.
to be able to reach to them and help them and point them in a direction with an expert and put on these podcasts like we're doing now, and
Yeah,
create social media content and constantly hammer these hidden benefits that they can do.
they don't realize. Did you not fully understand what is available to you being in service? Did they not explain what a VA loan is and all of the benefits of them? Just curious, as a standard
No.
VA, do you don't? Yeah.
No, yeah. And when I got into the Air Force, they did sit us down for some of our benefits, like our TSP, like in our like 401k investing, but they didn't even touch on like how to maximize that as much. And then the VA
Yeah.
loan, they mentioned the only thing that they said was you can utilize the VA loan immediately upon entrance. But that's actually not necessarily true, because if your job was a completely different job and now you're in the Air Force, like they want history, they want employment history. So a lot of lenders won't actually allow a veteran to buy a home until it's their first year in the military. And that's what I've seen that from experience. I don't know if every single person is the same way, but I've seen that.
Yeah.
And they just don't touch on a lot of those benefits and what you can do and what you can get and how you can get yourself into owning real estate early. And that's what
Crazy.
I want to educate. I really want to be that person for everyone.
I was just talking to an assistant of mine. Both her sons are in service. I think one is just getting out of it and one is finishing up. And I was like, they have to get a VA loan. It's just, oh yeah. Gosh, I don't even think they're thinking of it. I was
Mhm.
like, how could they not think of it? This is one of the most incredible things that the country offers you
Yeah.
after service of the country. They don't give you much, but they give you this, and this is huge,
Yep. And even in service, it's amazing benefit. I've
and
seen
even
so
in
many
service.
people buy one house, rent it out, build equity, use their equity to purchase another one, buy that as a rent, and just keep rinsing and repeating. And I know people that are in the military that have bought a home every place they've PCS to, built themselves a rental portfolio. Now they're cash flowing more money than they're making in the service, all from one house that cost them zero money. And they're
Yeah,
using, and the appreciation is the only money that they're using to buy down.
yeah.
It's insane.
I will clarify a few things here on VAs. So it's always and only for primary use.
Right. Yeah.
So you can only buy it for you specifically to live in. Because I get a lot of people will be like, my dad's a veteran. I want to use his benefits. You can't.
No.
Your father has to buy it with you, but also live with you. And if I need your income to qualify for borrowers who are not the actual veteran, you need 10% out when
Yep.
you have co-borrowers on the loan with you. And even if you are not married, your spouse is considered a co-borrower. They are not considered built in with you. So if I need that spouse's income or that partner's income and you're not actually married, 10% down.
Yeah.
Even sometimes depending, 12 and a half. It just depends on what you're buying. But so that's an interesting part of it as well. I had VA clients that were engaged that quickly had to get married one time because they weren't married and they really only had 5% down. They didn't want to come in with the full 10%. And I was like, if you want to wait for the wedding, you can, but if you don't want to wait for the wedding, maybe you can take a trip downtown real quick
Yep.
and make that
Yep.
happen for yourself. You can do the wedding later or whatever, but if you want to buy this house, I'm gonna need you to make it to the courthouse and get legally
Exactly.
married, and then you can put 0% down. But those are interesting caveats with VA that you have to be married to include your spouse and still keep the 0% down option.
And they use that spouse's income and all that as well. So it's
Absolutely.
I also did want to clarify one thing. When I said about buying multiple houses, I was saying using the appreciation to use conventional and go that way. It wasn't like they're using the VA every single time. I wanted to clarify that. But yeah,
Correct. Yeah, exactly. Because they can't, I just closed on somebody that has two VAs, and her entitlement was enough for her to buy the new property.
Mhm.
But it's because she was able to pull a lot of equity from her current house, which
Yeah.
is basically what you're saying, to bring down on the new. So she had one loan at 400 and the next loan at 500. Her total entitlement allowed us to give her financing up to 960, right? So
Yeah.
we were okay there. But I've been in escrow once on a VA loan where she had a VA loan already and the entitlement wasn't enough. She didn't have enough money down to purchase what she was buying. And we refied her current VA out into conventional and did the new VA loan all in one transaction. So
Incredible.
she could make it happen for herself. Yeah, yeah. Because it obviously made much more sense to do the current purchase, which was a larger loan, at the much more beneficial rate and things
It's
like that.
amazing. That's a lot of work, but I'm sure they were extremely happy.
It's all the same stuff for us. Once I have a file, however much, it's a lot of work for the client because different lenders were asking for different things and we get through it. Yeah.
I learned something too that I know a lot of people don't know. If you're active duty, you and a friend can buy the same asset. Are you familiar with that?
No, and the friend is not active duty?
No, the friend is active duty.
They're both active duty. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you and a buddy want to be, if you and a buddy have the entitlement, you can buy a house together.
You can buy a triplex or a fourplex
How
together.
cool is that?
Yeah.
And zero down.
And then you can zero down. You can each live in one unit, rent out 2 units
Make money.
to $3 million if you want, or whatever, because there's no
Yeah.
limits. You know what I mean?
But
So
that's
you
something
can,
that's so cool is so many, I see
yeah.
so, this is the one thing that I learned and I was like, this needs to get out because so many people rent a house together. There'll be four military members in one rental and they split the little rent and they save their BAH, but they could buy a bigger house and get an entitlement and there's more.
I know. And build it again, if you think of it as an asset, the larger the asset you buy, the more money the asset makes, right? There's only so much money you're going to earn on a $200,000 house, even as it appreciates. But you buy a $1.5 million house, the amount that it appreciates is much greater, right? So if, let's just say to make it easy, the house earns 10% a year, which in LA is 7 to 10% normal, on normal. Maybe this year is 5 to 7 because it's become this weird buyer's market. But let's just say 10% because the numbers are easy, right? So on a $300,000 house, you're earning 30,000. But on a 1.5 million triplex or quad, you're earning 150,000.
Correct.
And if you're not needing to put money down, if the income is from the rents are coming in and helping the mortgage, why would you not set yourself up to be earning the larger amount of appreciation? Because it's just in the numbers.
And then I wanted to ask you, this is the thing. What if four active duty military members wanted to build a property
From ground up or renovate?
from ground up? Would they be able to do that or no?
I don't know if we would need four. That does complicate things. Ground up VA loans, real new construction, it's available, but that is a very difficult process.
But they could rehab a
Rehab all day. Rehab
Mhm.
is renovation is very different than new construction or
Correct.
one-time financing. Building from the ground up is a very timely process and
Mhm.
very difficult because you have to understand if you're including the lot in the purchase, if there is already electricity and water lines, and all of that comes into buying a lot and then putting a home on it. Permits and this and that, it can take 2 to 3 years.
Well, and that's the thing is where I sell in California City up here a lot, we can get permits in a week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
To,
we,
to do ground up construction and stuff?
yes, I work for a couple builders and one in particular, he's closed escrow on a Friday. And then the following Friday or week after or 2 weeks after, he's gotten city approval to start pouring and grading. So we've done new construction here in California City in 72 days, and I've been in escrow the day after. And we've done a ground up and closed transaction under 90 days once.
So
So
great. That
insane.
doesn't happen in LA.
Yeah, it doesn't happen in LA. I know I'm in this little bubble.
Oh, not even close. Yeah, I wish. But that's great. Take advantage of that for sure.
Love to help military with that as well. But yeah, so like
Yeah,
I said, just
exactly.
but to recap that little thing is a lot of people don't know that you and a friend that are both active duty in the same
Yeah.
work environment, same job, can buy real estate together, and that's so cool.
Yes, yes. It's funny because I have a girl that just sent me her COE today. She was having problems with it because there was a discharge issue and yada. We weren't able to pull it on our end. And normally we can. I can pull your COE easy.
Yeah,
But she just sent it to me today and she is with a partner as well and they both want to come in on the loan together so that they can buy more. He qualifies on his own fine, but they really want to do it together. And I said, we can't unless I can get proof of this COE for you. And she just
right.
sent it to me today. And they're basic in VA's eyes, because VA is still run by the government, they're just friends.
Yep.
Until people are married, they're friends, unfortunately. So it's that same thing. So yes, friends can buy and as long as they're both veterans.
But that's why it's great. And the last thing I'll touch on that is that's why it's great because whatever you are, like you're where you're moving forward, it's just you guys can buy it just takes the complication out and
Yes.
gets you in the door. And that's what's great.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Would you say there are any pain points on VA?
Any pain points?
I have one, but any
Yeah,
pain?
the only thing that I really see with, first of all, I've never, in every offer I've ever had VA, we've always been able to get accepted or we just got beat out from a different offer. But but I would say the only thing is because of how strict the guidelines are, I can see sellers not wanting to do that. But it also just really depends. Now, Natalie, it's become a buyer's market. So as long as an offer is presented on the table, the seller is going to probably negotiate and work with it. But personally, I don't know. I don't really see it that being that difficult.
That's not too bad. On our end, pain points for VA are that you have to get a termite, but not just get the report, you have to have section 1 clearance always
Clearance, yeah,
on every
always.
single property. And that can be a pain point because we see it a lot here in LA anyway. The seller doesn't want to pay for it, period.
Hmm.
And then we have to have the buyer pay for it. And that can be a little bit of a pain point. We hate when our buyer has to pay for something up front. I just did one where she had to pay for the termite. That's a little bit of a pain point. And the seller didn't want to accept her offer because of it. He was like, why would I go with VA if they're going to make me do termite? I'll go with this other offer and then I won't have to do termite. But we came in and she was like, I want this house. I will pay the termite. Don't worry about it. And we did it. It was, of course, everything was fine and
Yeah,
it went very smoothly. It was great.
that makes sense.
Yeah, that's the only kind of that pain point. And then, of course, with underwriting, VA is very strict. So there's no 1 year tax return. If you're self-employed, they want 2 years tax returns. They're a little bit more of a struggle with underwriting, just a tad.
Yes,
They're more
for
strict.
sure. For
Yeah,
sure. Because the buyer, because there's more strict because the buyer is basically not putting any skin in the game.
exactly.
They need guarantees. Yeah.
Right. That's exactly right. Yeah. And all right. So one last question.
Sure.
How do you think that agents can best support their veterans?
So the one thing about that is the best way to support and it's hard for someone to outside. I'm a veteran. I know all the ins and outs, right? Our schedules are crazy, and even the veteran doesn't always know what they need to get pre-approved or to get qualified. So I would say the best way for an agent to support the veteran is to really get in touch with what each service branch acronyms and recognize what they need. Because I'll say something for you right now. Active duty members in Air Force, we have our systems in the computers known as PRADA, where it's our military documents. Everything that you can prove to the outside world that you're in active duty is in a system there. So for me, when I'm talking to Air Force members, I say, hey, if you don't know where your statement of service is, it's in your PRADA, and then they know. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's, sometimes military members are coming up on re-enlistment or extension, and they want to buy a house that last year. And so we need to get letters from employers, and we need to get things that like they might most likely are going to re-enlist or going to extend, and we need those types of documentation. So I would say for agents that are out there serving military, learn a little bit what the military does on the back end so you can help them get to the service as well.
Yeah, totally. And just be better informed is the best way to serve them,
Yeah.
especially because, as you said, a lot of our veterans are not going to understand what it means to do a VA loan. And so the more you can know to help them is obviously.
And there's a lot of agents and lenders that say, oh, we need your DD 214, but they don't have that because they're still active, for example.
Of
You
course,
know what I
yeah. And
mean?
just for the audience, DD 214 is the discharge paperwork. So yes, of course.
Yeah, exactly. So they'll need the statement of service for active one.
Yes.
And I keep leaving guard and reserve. Guard and reserve falls in that active realm. You can still work with that. So, but
Say that again. The
I keep leaving out guard and reserve.
Oh,
They
guard and reserve.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're also in that same category as active. So
Yes.
entitlement.
Exactly.
But yeah,
Thank you so much for joining us. This was a great conversation. I hope that the audience enjoyed it as well and learned something from it. I'll end with the same thoughts, just that VA are incredible and people don't really understand what is available for them. And if you're a VA out there working at all, you need to be owning and
yes.
not paying money in rent. You don't have to have any money in the bank. Just do it.
Just do
Yes, it'll
it.
cost more, right? It does cost more than rent. But there are always so many benefits that outweigh the larger payment per month. It's
Absolutely.
basically all your money. All right, great. Thank you again. And we'll put all of your information in the info below and have a beautiful day.
Thank you so much, Natalie. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for listening to Mortgage on My Mind. If you're ready to start your mortgage journey or have any questions, I'd love to help. With 20 years of experience, I make the process as simple and stress-free as possible. Check the show notes for my contact info and don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast. Until next time, I'm Natalie Salins, here to help make your real estate dreams a reality.